Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Rising up comes some hot, fresh truth out of somewhere below Wayne Manor in the outskirts of Gotham City. So I've been talking about droughts, wildfires in California, but the droughts have gotten bad again. We had a really bad one in 2015-ish. That was about 5 years of continuous drought. Then we had 2016, 2017, 2018. In there, we had about 3 winters of pretty solid rainfall, because the way California works in general, like most of the West Coast, the summers are very dry, and we get rain starting late October, early November through like March, maybe April. We get pretty steady rain, but May through September, usually we get almost no rain. So if we have a dry winter, we're in trouble. And the last big drought, at the time it was Governor Jerry Brown said, we got to do all these measures to use less water. And we're able to actually reduce our water consumption by about 20%. But I was like, what happens when the next drought shows up? Well, it's here. It's here, everybody. And we've done very little. California governor declares drought emergency for the entire state. California has roughly 45 million people in it, as the 5th largest economy in the world. California is experiencing the worst drought since the late 1800s, as measured by both lack of precipitation and high temperatures, per a statement from the governor's office. And this is from the governor's office right here. Here's Gavin Newsom out there on the office of the governor of California. As the West faces a potential 3rd year of drought, we're extending the drought emergency statewide, making historic investments and taking action to protect communities. It's now important than ever for Californians to save water in every way possible. So yeah, we should be all saving water. I got this during the last drought. So this is back in 2015. I got basically an egg timer for my shower. And you got to take 5-minute showers. I've talked a lot about, dual flush toilets, waterless urinals, and they started putting those in a lot of areas of the city, like Santa Monica, where I'm living, is they made that a mandate. Ooh, dangerous word. A mandate to save water, that urinals in men's rooms and all public restrooms in the city of Santa Monica had to be waterless urinals. And each one of those saves about 40,000 gallons a year. They tried to do encouraging programs of like, we should have homeowners in California should have yards like they have in Arizona. You drive through Arizona and most of the yards are like desert landscape. But in California, a lot of people still want to have their nice grass yard. Well, that uses a lot of water. But of course, what this isn't doing, this isn't holding the big corporations accountable. It's putting all the onus on the citizens of California, which is fair up to a point, because you got 45 million people there. 45 million people reduce their water consumption. We can get through this drought. And one of the things, like some people, using water to spray off your sidewalk, we can't do that. You got to use a broom. Like, that's a waste of water. But one of the things that uses a lot of water is fracking. Oh, this is a small, you'd see this, but Center for Biological Diversity, for immediate release, this is July of 2020. With new permits, Newsom ramps up fracking in California. 360 new fracking events approved so far this year. This was in 2020. I remember talking about this like in April, right when in the middle of the shutdown, and all these liberals are like, Gavin Newsom's doing amazing stuff. He's just doing what a politician is supposed to do. Our politicians are so shitty in this country in both parties that when they were doing nothing during the pandemic, a guy just doing the base minimum seemed like so amazing, but he was also approving fracking permits. 360 in 2020, 360 permits. And then he's going to stand there in his jeans and tell all of us to reduce our water. The whole lead by example, that's gone in America, because everyone in charge in both of these filthy, corrupt political parties, and the oil and gas companies that pay for these jackasses in both of these stupid parties and pay for morons like Ted Cruz and Rubio and Pelosi and all the other parasites give, lip service, but they're paid. You don't think they've donated to his campaign? Nearly 88% of California and much of the American West are experiencing an extreme or exceptional drought per the U.S. Drought Monitor. By the end of September, statewide reservoir storage has hit 60% of average, with Lake Oroville setting a new record low. A new record low. In July, the governor asked state residents to voluntarily reduce household water usage by 15% as drought conditions worsened. State Water Resources Control Board data released Tuesday showed there was a 5% reduction in urban water compared to 2020 per the governor's office. I mean, asking people to not be selfish is a hard thing to do in America. But it's really also hard when the leaders of this country are selfish assholes, because then it's like you're not leading by example. I have a friend of mine who has a house in the city of Los Angeles several years ago. I don't know if this will come back. Hopefully it will. Was giving out free rainwater barrels, basically, which is like an 80-gallon drum that has a mesh thing at the top and then a spigot for a regular standard, garden hose on the bottom. You put that under your drain pipe. So when it rains, you're collecting this water and saving it rather than, just letting it go into the gutter. And of course, California, many cities in California, especially Los Angeles, there's just this reservoir system. They collect all the rainwater and then it just goes out in the ocean. So we don't even collect it. So this is a thing I've talked about numerous times. In Santa Monica, there's what's called a SMRF, a Santa Monica Urban Runoff Facility, right by the Santa Monica Pier. That was built about maybe 10, 15 years ago. And it collects rainwater, cleans it, and then puts it back into the system. That's one thing we need to start doing. Like, there's no bold, telling people to use less water and not, hose down their driveways. Okay, great. But we go through this every drought, just everyone takes shorter showers. We're not doing any long-term plans to mitigate this. We should be trying to capture every drop of water and storing it. But when you approve 360 fracking permits in the first half of 2020, much of that during a pandemic, you're really not getting to the root. We're not preparing for another drought. We're just like, we got to get through this and then hope for the rain. And then everybody goes back. Everyone just wants to go back to normal without having to change anything. All these stupid pipelines that were approved by Bush and Obama and dumbfuck Trump and no memory Joe. This is unreal. We could have, I've said this before, a pipeline system for water. Because climate change doesn't mean everyone's going to have a drought. Areas that have drought, the droughts are going to get worse. Areas that flood, the flooding is going to get worse. Remember all those floods we had this summer from the hurricanes? Just last month, actually in September. Remember? From Louisiana all the way up to New York City, we had flooding. What if we had a way to get that water out of there and put it in a pipeline and send it to drought areas like the West Coast? I don't know. I mean, it's not like the West Coast is always going through some type of a drought. We had severe drought 10, 15 years ago in Georgia in the South, and people lost crops there. We should have a pipeline system, not for oil that destroys the planet. The 130,000 gallons of oil that just spilled in Huntington Beach a couple weeks ago, that's still being cleaned up. Some of the beaches have opened up, but there's still oil. Because this is going to keep happening, guys. There's going to be another drought, especially since climate change is contributing to it. Even for the dipshits that deny climate change and say, it's cyclical. Well, droughts are cyclical. How come they keep happening more and more? But even if you think it's cyclical, there's going to be another drought. It's caused by climate change. You don't believe in climate change. You're a fucking idiot. You're a flat earther. You know, go eat elk meat and cure COVID or whatever the fuck dumb crap you're doing. But here in real time, in real world, not in make-believe land, climate change is happening. Studies show human-caused climate change is driving an increase in the likelihood of severity of droughts and heat waves and consequently wildfires, per Axios' Andrew Friedman. Firefighters, I've been talking about this since the summer, since the fire season in the California and the West Coast started in June. You remember June when like Portland, Oregon was at 115 degrees and these fires were starting months ahead of schedule. Like we have fires every season. There's a fire. It's a season. It happens every year. And then we're still like, whoa, what's happening? What's going on? Firefighters have battled more than 8,000 fires that have raised nearly 22.5 million acres of lands. This is from the California Cal Fire data. These include 8 large fires now burning in the state, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. So Gavin Newsom just declared a state of emergency for the drought, and we have 8 fires happening. And if this is another dry winter, this won't get better. And if it's a wet winter, everyone will just go back to brunch, just sleep. Oh, we won't have to worry about the droughts again. But we're good on the fracking. We're still fracking. We're still fracking. Okay. What's it going to take? I mean, the oil spills, the Gulf of Mexico was on fire during the summer. We had hurricanes causing floods all up and down the East Coast. The West Coast is still on fire. But we're still doubling down on fracking and oil, and well, oil prices have gone up. So if your oil stock's gone up, who cares, right? Right? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's keep fighting about dumb bullshit and not deal with climate change. So, hey, everybody. Ron Placone and I had to cancel all of our October tour dates because of COVID, the Delta variant, all that. But we still have shows in California. Ron and I are doing San Francisco, September 11th, Sacramento, September 12th, Burbank, September 15th, and Lee Camp and I are doing Live Government Secrets, September 18th in Los Angeles. All those tour dates are at GrahamElwood.com. All of the venues are requiring proof of vaccination. Dynasty Typewriter on the 18th is also saying you can do negative COVID tests, but check with the venues for what their policies are. I have no control over those policies. Go to GrahamElwood.com. Sorry we can't come. This sucks. We'll be back hopefully next year. But if you're in California or want to make the trip, come out to these shows. These are probably the only shows we're going to do this year. Thank you.